Like one of the things that I think a lot of people would find a bit challenging, you go to a new place, nobody knows who you are. No one knows how awesome you are. So you've come to this new place, you're quite essentially by yourself. How did you get through that period of your life to go on to make some good friends and good connections out here? Like, what did you do?
I think that's something, but then we can look at the flip side, because at the same time, nobody knows you. So you're more free to make mistakes. You're fear to make mistakes, because then it's like they cannot judge you because they don't know you. And this is just it's a small part of who you are. So it's a little bit different. It gives me I felt freedom, to try something different. And making friends, it was a little bit, challenging at first, of course. But then I think having this opportunity in the classroom where we see people from different backgrounds, it helped. And then, through this kind of assessments that we had to do, so we are being partnered up with different people and then talking. And then, of course, you're going to find something that has similarities about you. And then I had some friends from these phases. And I think most of the friends that I did was basically through the course.
Brilliant.
Like Mexican, really Colombians, and Brazilian people too. And it's really interesting.
Fantastic. That's really good.
Humbling.
And humbling as well. Okay. Yeah, tell me more about that. Why humbling?
Because, as you said, nobody knows you. Nobody knows how good you are at what you do. So it puts you in a place where you have to build it all over again. You have to create this image for yourself, and it's different. So it just takes you from this place of entitlement, because you're not who you were before. Nobody cares about who you were before, actually, in the end, because it's not the life anymore that you're living. So it is humbling, because it just makes you see things through different lenses.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, you could have gone to the best university in Brazil, but maybe no one's heard of it. Yes. You could have had a very high-ranking job. Maybe no one's heard of the company, or the job that you did. So you basically.
But that was how it happened.
Yeah.
I was a manager here in Brazil, and then when I went to Australia, I didn't have a job like that, because nobody would want to hire me for that experience that I had. I was on a student visa, so they didn't open up a lot of opportunities for us. So then we have to work, in hospitality, which here in Brazil,
hospitality is really hard.
It is, but when you're here in Brazil and you have these, white collar jobs, you don't care about it. You don't think about it, because it's not the kind of job that you are actually going to be searching for. So when you're there abroad, and then you have to work with, I've worked at functions there. So it makes me see things differently. That's why I'm saying it's really humbling experience, because it just changed the whole concept that I had, about jobs and about work and about value that I see myself through. This value of, and then it's different. It was really interesting and very good.
100%. Growing up overseas, in Kuwait in particular, people that work in hospitality, I would say, don't have much value in society and the way that society looks at them.
Yes,
and then exactly. I came out of here and I worked in hospitality for 6 hours, and oh my God, my respect level for hospitality workers went like way up, right? Way up. Also, after that 6 hours, I don't ever want to do this job again.
So, you won't function for good.
Exactly. So I went back and I went, okay, I need to really study hard and not have to be in this position. So yeah, you're right. It's very humbling, and you see people very differently as a result of which you see people not for their professions, but people for who they actually are. So exactly. a good person is more important than the job that they actually do. And
I guess it's not about the badges anymore. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Because I was a manager, and then I was attending at a function.
Exactly. Now crazy.
Yeah, it changes the perspective. So it's really, really nice. It was a very good experience for me. I really enjoyed it.
100%.
It's not for me. It's not for me, of course. I don't have, a way of doing that, but it was good.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to do a career in hospitality, it requires a special kind of person. I definitely can't do it. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah, me too. And it's not in a belittling way that I'm saying this. It's I understand and I value their work a lot more, even after trying.
Mm,
But it's not for me. I don't feel like I will be, happy doing that for a long time. I
exactly.
would need, all these kind of, things that I just told you about, that I need to think about, this global environment and all of that. That was a part of me that I'll be missing if I just went to hospitality and stood there.
Yeah, 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 100%, 100%. So coming back to Brazil with all these experiences that you had overseas, what was it like readjusting to your Brazilian life?
I would say it was pretty easy because I didn't lose contact with the people and the friends. I still, of course, not as much because we have a huge a time difference, but it was good. An opportunity to see them again and have an opportunity to, uh, meeting them, going out with them. But then it was short-lived because then we got into the pandemic situation where everybody stood at home. So it was weird.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was weird.
definitely, definitely.
It was weird
What about
adjusting.
from a social and cultural perspective? Coming out here, seeing a different life, a different pace of life, maybe slower, maybe faster, different way of thinking, different way of looking at things. Then going back to Brazil, was Brazil what you remembered, or seeing and experiencing all this changed your view?
It changed my view. It changed my view in terms of, I think what I liked a lot about Australia and the Australian way of life is that you guys really value, quality time. And it's not like you're going to be, seeing people working extra hours every single day. No, you see people actually going out and enjoying life and enjoying, the daylight, going to the parks and, going to this bars and having a pint. And that's something that I really, really enjoyed. And I would like to bring and apply to my life here, which is kind of weird because of the pandemic. And now I'm working extra hours, but not thinking about that. That's something I really enjoyed when I was there.
Yeah.
And another,
I mean,
sorry.
time is a commodity that you just can't trade, like
Yeah.
it's so valuable. I think when we're younger, we don't quite realize how important time is. Like it feels like every day goes on forever. When you
Yes.
get a bit older and then you experience life a bit more, especially out here, you realize the value of time becomes so much more important. And people want to slow things down as much as possible so that they can enjoy time, to have a conversation, to have a cup of coffee, to go for a pint, to go for a walk. Like
Yes.
those aspects are there.
Yeah. And also I really, really enjoyed how much you actually, and people there enjoy nature and going to the parks and how you use the river, there's people, rowing, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. And that's something that I miss around a little bit here in Sao Paulo. But then we have something that I really wish we could have here, which is security. I don't feel safe here as I used to feel in Australia.
Okay. Now tell me more
Yeah.
about this. Por quê?
Por quê?
Sí. Theme.
Yeah. Sim, Portuguese
Theme.
sim.
Theme.
Um, I think here we have this inequality. It's so pronounced that sometimes it's hard, and we see people struggling. And even with the pandemics, I think the situation has even gone worse. And I would say this brings a lot of insecurities because to some people, eventually they're going to resort to violence and things like that to make it. I'm not saying it's everywhere. It's not like, Brazil is nice. Brazilian people is good. They are very happy. They're very, they embrace you. They hug you. It's good. But at the same time, we have the other side. And it's really hard because here I'm afraid of, getting my phone and, walking around following it, while in Australia, I didn't care. I could do that. I felt safe enough to do that.
Interesting.
And yeah, I would say inequality here is, especially because if you think in Australia, someone who works in hospitality, it makes a good amount of money. It's not a huge difference between people working, the kind of service that other places, you would see and you'd frown upon it. It's like, it's not very good. It's like of, the payment is kind of, equal in a certain way. While here it's not. If we work in hospitality here in Brazil, you're not going to make enough money to survive, maybe, or to care for your family.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
that's something, yeah. And this
Yeah,
is
I
something
mean,
that,
yeah, out here you can work in hospitality and still have a certain quality of life where you live in the
yes,
city, where you can still
yes,
somewhat afford your avocado toast and a coffee every day as
yes,
well,
yes,
and still have money for your rent money and your insurance and everything else as well. That's true.
yes.
That's true. That's true.
And this is something that is nice, and it helps, I think. I don't know if, of course, there's a lot of other things around this culture and all of that, but I think this payment being a little bit more equal helps a lot because it provides more opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Australia is built on egalitarian perspective in the sense like everyone's the same, everyone's equal. I do think you're 100% correct that pandemic has changed that a little bit in the sense, some people have done very well, other people have done very, very poorly. And in reality, it is the type of job that you do which has affected that as well. And in Australia in particular, what I noticed was the inequality between locals and international people. Locals were still very well supported, but international people who do so much work out here, there was just no protection for them. They were basically forgotten, which really is a shame. And if you think about all the different industries in which they work, and if you forget about them, what ended up basically happening was every time the border would open up for flights, they would go back home because they can't afford to stay here anymore. And now that the country is opening up, we're seeing shortages in so many different industries, whether it's hospitality, whether it's healthcare, whether it's cleaning services, whether it's building maintenance. Like every single industry is facing huge shortages. So it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. So hopefully, the next few years, the market recorrects itself and supply and demand.
Yes,
They
they
get
will do
that
the
right.
work.
Exactly,
They
exactly,
will do the work. It might take time, but they will do. But I agree with
exactly.
you. It's unfortunate to think about it.
Yeah. From a cultural
And
perspective, what changed in a sense when you got back to Brazil? What's the biggest change that you saw with your friends, with your family, with colleagues? Did you see any changes at all, or was it all quite natural?
it's interesting. I have never, actually taken time to think about that. But I think it was quite natural. I think I have, incorporated things. And now I cannot even tell you what has, actually been something that I, was already within me before going to Australia and what I have incorporated after. I think it was like organic. And it's weird. But I think this level of respect, for the people's work and people in the industry, the hospitality industry in Brazil, that was taken to another level. Not that I didn't have before, but now it's way bigger. And I think trying to know people for what they can, share on their story more than the title or the badges they are carrying around. I think that's something that I have already brought to with me as well. That's a change that I've seen happening around.
Okay, interesting.